Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today I have a mermaid video that I'm like very fashionably late for. I love mermaid, I love mermaids, I just love all of it. I love mermaid dolls. I'm just, you know, a big fan. I was asked to partake in a mermaid collab with some talented doll artists. We have Dolly Pop, I Could Do That DIY, Lady Dynamite Creates, Steffu Doll, and Tiffany's Tiny Thing. Electric Bunny VT and Fairyman Dolls also wanted to partake in this collab, but they just didn't get their mermaid doll done in time. So go check out their channels and look out for that. So what are we doing? All right, so I've been kind of obsessed with the Odile sculpt from Barbie. Not as obsessed as some people. Some people have like 16 of them. I just have this one. A while back, I saw Valkyries World create a hybrid with this mermaid tail, and it just looked really cool. So I was like, hey, I want to try that too. So what's the theme? At first, I'll be honest, I was just vibing. I wanted an Odile mermaid. But then all of a sudden she transformed into Black Lady from Sailor Moon inspired. I've become a little re-obsessed with the Sailor Moon aesthetic. I've always been like really into it, but I've gotten more into it lately. I don't know. I think it came out subconsciously, honestly. With all that being said, let's get to customizing. So a while back, I remember saying that I just don't see myself customizing Barbies a lot because most of them have like they're smiling really big, and it's just not really my thing. So that's, I mean, honestly, one of the reasons why I'm so excited for Odile, because she has such like a relaxed kind of neutral face. You can either have her with her mouth open, you can have her with her mouth closed, like it's very versatile, and I just think she's stunning. Like I think she's stunning non-painted, like from the factory. This is beautiful. This mermaid doll's head sculpt is also really beautiful. I just really wanted to paint an Odile, so that's what we're doing. We start with the basics of cutting off all her hair. I let her head cook for a little bit in some hot water because we're gonna be popping it off. Also, disregard my hot water, okay? It look a little schmutzy, but it's just for my Keurig, so it's a little coffee. Makes her head smell good, you know? I scrape around the inside of her head with a screwdriver to get all that hair out, and then I pull it out through her neck hole with some needle nose pliers. Her paint job is stunning, but we gotta take it off with some 100% acetone. I'd like to pat myself on the back. I don't normally do so well when it comes to like getting the face off in one swipe, but I kind of ate with this one. Look at her and her beautiful neutral expression. You love to see it. It's honestly like so pretty. It's so simple and so pretty. We need to perform Barbie surgery, so we're going to be doing that by cutting these Barbies in half with my Dremel. I'm trying to get somebody's belly button in this. Okay, so I was trying to get the mermaid doll's belly button, but the belly button by the end of this has disappeared. It's giving Kyle XY. I feel like I'm really showing my age with that reference. I hate her fabric tail, so I am just gonna be yanking it off. It was really easy. Girly Pop really needs to be put back together. It's giving horrifying, so I am going to be gluing the two pieces together with a hot glue gun. This is very like not sturdy, but I'm going to be going over the seam line, or not the seam line, the cut line with epoxy, and this is going to make it pretty permanent. Epoxy is pretty heavy duty. She's looking pretty lumpy, which isn't really our aesthetic, so I am sanding her down with some sandpaper, and by the time I'm done sanding her, the belly button is gone. Have I been giving a lot of dolls pink hair lately? Yes. Is pink my love language? Also yes. I'm giving her pink hair. You know what? I don't even care. This is the Doll Planet's metallic pink, or metallic blushing pink. Once I'm done rerouting everything, I go in her neck hole with some Fabri-Tac glue, and to make sure it lays very flat, I boil wash it. I hop back over to the tail and I'm going to be spray painting it black. I know the joints are gonna chip, so I'm going in with a permanent marker. I'm finally giving her the unified skin tone that she deserves, so I'm just going over her stomach with some like beige tan paint. I spray her 3 times with Mr. Super Clear, waiting 15 minutes between each spray and wearing a respirator mask, and then we start painting. We start with the eyeballs. I sketch them on with a red watercolor pencil. This step usually takes a while because I'm trying to get them as even as I can tell at this point, you know? So there's like a little bit of measuring it back and forth. They're usually not perfect, and I just hope no one notices. I color in the whites of her eyes with a white watercolor pencil, and I color in her waterline with a peach watercolor pencil. I'm filling in her lips with a dark red pastel. You can be kind of messy with it because I'm just going to be going in with a kneaded eraser anyway and cleaning it up. I'm throwing pink pastel like kind of all over her face, cheeks, her forehead, her nose, her chin. She's coming alive, y'all. I begin defining her features with some brown pastel. I love giving my dolls what looks like sort of like an undertone or an underlayer to their skin. So I start sort of achieving that with a light blue watercolor pencil, and I'm sketching in veins just all around the face. They're just branch-like pencil marks around the eyes and forehead, and then I go in with a light blue pastel and tap that on. It looks really intense, just it'll be fine. I sprayed the doll here and you can see it's fine. So I want her lips to be a bit darker and have more of like a concentrated effect on the middle. So I'm tapping more of that red pastel in the middle of her lips and highlighting her waterline. I've found while painting Barbies in the past, I haven't painted many, but I found that less is more when it comes to eye detail. I still try to get, you know, some details in there, but I'm not as detailed as I am with other sculpts because it just ends up looking very chaotic. So I'm really trying to get a nice color, and I'm filling her eyes in with a deep purple. To create a shadow underneath her top lid, I'm tapping some black under there, and I think it makes it look a little bit more 3D eventually. The eyes are very dark. They're too dark. So I'm starting to go in with a white pencil, and I'm just bringing those highlights back. I highlight the bottom of her iris with a lavender colored pencil. I was debating back and forth whether I wanted her to have a closed mouth or slightly parted lips because I've seen it with this Odile sculpt with both, and both paints are very stunning, but I decided that I just wanted to have like the little hint of teeth. To amp up those pencil highlights a little bit more, I'm going over them, or not all of them, but certain areas with wet white watercolor. I paint a bit of metallic purple on her lid and also her pupil. I wanted the pupil highlight to stand out a little bit more, so I took a blue Pearl X pigment and I tapped that on top. She a mermaid, she needs sparkle, so I'm going all over her face with some macro Pearl X pigment. Time for lashes. I love lashes, and Barbies are no exception. So I go in with my Faber-Castell black pencil and I just start flicking some lashes all on the eyeballs. I like this Faber-Castell pencil because it is harder and sharper than other pencils, so it gives you a nice line. It's very like defined. I don't typically I'll go over all of that with paint, like black watercolor paint, but with this, since the eyes are so small, I'm just going over certain lashes. We are almost done. So I take some white watercolor and I'm just tapping highlights on her eyes with white watercolor and also rose gold watercolor. With that, her face up is done. And you may be looking at her and you're like, she's missing a very core key feature, which is eyebrows. We're gonna be doing something different with those, okay? Just give me a second. So I go over the lips with some Tamiya gloss. I don't know. I'll never know. I keep forgetting this. We're going back to her hair and I want to give her, you know, some Sailor Moon little buns. So I put down this bead as a base for it. I'm sticking a needle in so that it's stuck in place and securing that with some hot glue. I take hot glue and I place that on top of the bead and then I wrap the hair around it. This is like extremely annoying because it's hair, so it's like the strands be coming off and it's just hard to get hair like all over the bead. It took a while, okay, and I had to do a lot of it off camera, but you know what, it came through in the end. It was a little messy, but it came through. I have some like bead things that I'm going to be decorating her buns with, so I hot glue that on top of the bun. You may notice later that this slightly changes because I'm going to be adding bun covers on top of her hair. I did that off camera. It was kind of stressful because I like messed up her hair and then I had to fix it. But yeah, she's going to have bun covers. These go on top of the bun covers, but I just thought it added a little bit more contrast to her hair since it's so light. Honestly, I feel like if anybody can pull off being eyebrowless, it's an Odile mermaid. I want her to have loose waves, so I give her some chunky braids, and I'm going to be setting that in place by dipping her head from hot water to cold water. We gotta start finishing up her tail, so I'm taking this dragonfly glaze and I'm going all over the black of her tail with that. It's like a sparkly pink. It's really pretty and I rarely ever get to use it. We gotta create her bottom fin, so I am gather stitching all of the sides of this piece of fabric except for the bottom, and then I'm sewing the bottom together. I made 2 of these, and I'm gonna be opening up the tail at the bottom and then basically like squishing them into place. We got a body blush. She needs a belly button. So I'm taking the same tones that I used on the face, on the body. You may also notice that I did spray paint the ends of her arms. I thought it looked kind of cool, okay? So like a little dramatic, a little gothy, a little emo, you love to see. Alright, so let's talk about this stuff. This is resin clay. What is resin clay? I don't know. Resin, I don't know what else it is. I tried to wear gloves with this to work with it, and it just completely changed the consistency. It basically made it feel like it was like peanut butter or whatever. So I took off my gloves. Would I typically recommend this for resin? No, but I just couldn't use gloves. It wasn't working. I'm not someone who has any kind of reaction to resin though, so there's that. I tried to color this stuff with some alcohol ink because that's typically how I color resin. The night before I tested this stuff out and I was using it without trying to color it, and the consistency was like fine. It was pretty similar to clay. And when I mixed in the alcohol ink in this little piece, it was like okay-ish. It was changing the consistency, but it felt kind of workable. But it slowly just got less and less workable. And like, as you can see here, it's like very sticky. So I was like, maybe if I put it down on the doll, it'll become better. I put some tape down to protect the doll, but that also just completely like messed with the consistency even more. I don't know what I'm doing, if you didn't notice. So I put that aside. I was like, okay, alcohol ink ain't working. I guess putting it on top of something on the doll isn't working. So I took my extra torso that I had and I changed the color of this stuff with pigment instead, my Pearlix pigment, and that worked significantly better. When it made contact with the doll, it became a little bit sticky, but it wasn't completely like unusable like when I mixed it with ink. And I'm just molding this in a shape that I like once I put it down on the doll. I think this stuff is pretty great, if I'm being honest. I think it definitely has like a learning curve where you are probably gonna have a lot of trial and error with it, just trying to figure it out. But once you do, I think it's sort of fantastic because it's basically clear clay. I put it under my UV lamp to let it cure, and it was a little bit like hard getting it off of the Barbie chest, but it was fine in the end. I was a little nervous it was gonna rip because this stuff is still like, it's not like completely hard. Like it has some bend to it and stuff, as you can see. Once I took it off the Barbie, it was still a little bit tacky, nothing too intense, but I wanted to see if I could get it to cure even more. So I put it back underneath the UV lamp. It was still a little bit tacky after this. It was nothing awful, but I have cats, so I was like, the fur is gonna get stuck to it. So I took a little bit of my UV resin and I was like, maybe if I put some of this on top of it, it'll like dry down better. Spoiler alert, it didn't. I actually think it made it a little bit worse. So, you know, don't do that. But I kind of was just like, all right, I guess this is the consistency. I'm just gonna try to keep her away from my cats. I'll put her somewhere super high. I was debating between like gluing this onto her or not, because I think it can sort of stay on without glue, but I wanted it to fit in a very specific way. So I took some tacky glue and I glued it onto her, and now we're gonna be decorating her, which I think is like sort of my favorite part of making mermaids. I love decorating them. So I wanted her to have a smoother transition for her tail, so I just tapped some black in that area. And then I'm taking this collection of beads and rhinestones and sparkles and just everything, and I am gluing that to her in an aesthetically pleasing way, basically. And we're finally going to give her what are kind of her eyebrows, which I'm just doing with some glitter. I wanted to incorporate lace because, again, this mermaid is a bit of a nod to Black Lady from Sailor Moon. So I sewed some lace around her neck. I also gave her these little flowy, like, hand things. They're attached by a ring on her finger. And then I gave her the upside down crescent moon because I wasn't going to, but I just loved adding a moon to a forehead. I feel like if I was a braver person, I would totally get a moon tattooed on my forehead. But, you know, I'm not. So that's probably not a life choice I'm going to make. This is the outcome of her face. I think it's so pretty after everything is added to it. Like, I liked it before. I like it even better now. And with that, she is done. And I love her. I am completely biased, though, because I am just completely biased not against, a Sailor Moon inspired doll or just a Sailor Moon doll or whatever. Like, I never get sick of them. I feel like so many people make like Sailor Moon or Sailor Senshi dolls, and I'm always like, just keep them coming, just make more. I like them. So if you guys are making those, or if you are thinking about making one and you're like, is this too overdone? No. Okay, it's not. Make it for me. But anyway, y'all, go check out my collab mates. I think they did a fantastic job. And yeah, like this video if you like this video. Subscribe, makes me happy. And I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Bye!
We'll be right back.